Okay, so you clicked on this video because you obviously want to know how to learn how to make Age of Empires Definitive Edition custom scenario. However, me and my friend here, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Horvat.
Yep. So me and Horvat here, we went and actually spent multiple weeks trying to go into the scenario designer and design a good scenario. And we figured out the AI is like toddlers, for lack of a better explanation. They just they don't know what they're doing. So in order
But toddlers can learn.
that's actually a really good point. Like these AI, they're so dumb they don't learn.
Toddlers are better than Age of Empires AI. Confirmed.
I'm gonna agree with that. Totally true here. So to show you what we mean, we've actually got a bunch of custom-made maps already prepared, kind of like Gordon Ramsay if he was preparing a custom dish for you. Only this is for you to look at with your eyes instead of eating. So
This level is fucking raw.
I don't usually include swearing in my videos, but I think
you can bleep me out.
I don't know how to do the bleep stuff.
I'll teach you.
Okay.
That's what I'm here for.
Might include that in the video though, 'cause it seems kind of funny. Okay, so as I was saying before, the first thing we're going to go and scroll down to is a map we made called Tree Funnel. Or maybe I made this and just shown Horvat here. I'm not sure. Memory's a little fuzzy. Anyway, as you can see here, we've got a bunch of long swordsmen, or perhaps they were Legion. Legion is just an upgraded version of long swordsmen. Some cataphracts here, and then the enemy pretty much has the same thing. And I'm now going to click test to show you what I mean when I say that the AI at first we're thinking, oh, this actually isn't that bad because they respond kind of well with military units. So you want to give any feedback here?
So yeah, I was here when you were making this map. I was writing down the notes as you dictated them. I like the idea of the tree funnel. It's very cinematic.
Yeah, this is actually slightly inspired by the movie 300, where they get all the enemy Persians or whatever they're called and kind of funnel them into a single place. That's why we actually named it Tree Funnel. So, as you can see here, the AI is actually reacting very, very well, and they're fighting back. They're actually going and moving their units, so we were expecting them to work like this for our entire test and when we were designing the custom map for this video. But no, they didn't do that, so I'm going to quit this match now because you've pretty much seen all you needed to see. The AI seem like they work. So I'm right now going to quit to the main menu and not save changes here, obviously, because we changed nothing. No use saving the changes that we didn't change anything.
A lot of AI died for you. And you're like, oh, nothing happened.
They're just pixels.
They're just toddlers.
Oh, that makes it sound worse. We're not killing toddlers here,
really
people.
It's fun to see all those toddlers die in your game.
Oh, this is so morbid I might include this joke too. Okay, so moving on. The next map here is Corpse Canyon. So Corpse Canyon. Well, no, wait, that isn't actually it. Oh yeah, here we are. So here we have the Blood Gulch map, which is actually inspired from the Halo series Red vs. Blue. If you ever watched that, you might start getting real nostalgic watching this map. So here, as you can tell, we've actually placed the enemy team up here with a town center and 3 villages to start off. This scout cavalry here is just to look at the map, but then I figured out you can enter cheat codes in this. In fact, that's why the entire world aligned with scout cavalry. Oh wait, this might actually be the right version of it. Let me just quit to the main menu.
Classic Red vs. Blue humor.
Nope, that's the one with no people in it.
That's the best one.
Okay, so for this map here, as you can see, we made the AI team start off with 3 villages and a town center. This is standard for every Age of Empires map, and I probably don't even need to say that. Now, I want you to pay attention to what the AI act like, because you might be amazed here. So I'm going to click Test Scenario, and I don't even have to move my guys, and I'm immediately going to hit Enter here, and enter in, if I can just spell properly, Reveal Map and No Fog. These 2 cheat codes will make it so that the Fog of War on the map is disabled, and Reveal All will immediately reveal everything. So as you can see here, yeah, you want to say, what was that?
Just like the very secret cheat codes. Oh, what's the cheat code for not having fog? Oh, it's no fog. Thanks.
Yeah, this stuff was it's so blatantly
What
obvious.
a cheat.
Yeah, when this was released in 1999, I heard stories of people being like, oh, look here, our friends are obviously entering this stuff and now they're cheating. Well, thanks guys, because the cheat codes are that obvious.
Yeah, exactly.
So, as you can see here, This is one of the main, I guess, not really selling points, but I guess you could call this an aggravating point that the AI has. So, yeah, we pretty much can't get them to work. This is actually set on the hardest difficulty, by the way. The enemy is set to ultra aggressive on hardest. Ultra aggressive and hardest is not, in my opinion, freezing like you're a deer in the headlights and not moving a bit. He's doing it again. See what I mean? Little idiots doing it again. And then they'll just walk around like this, like idiots, and chop the trees. In fact, I'm just going to put a small cut in the video and get back to you once I've gotten these villagers over here, because you need to see how they react when they're actually in combat.
The treasure is buried in the...
Okay, so here we are after the small cut. We're in front of the enemies, and right now, we would be able to attack them with the villagers, and this is
shot.
Yeah, this is their reaction. Bear in mind, like I said before, hardest difficulty here, people.
They're so ultra aggressive.
Yeah, like I said, we set this to ultra aggressive as well. You're getting bashed in the noggin with a skull club. He's doing nothing. In fact, yeah, this is all you need to see. They'll do this and this only. The AI is that useless, like we said before. Toddlers. Now, let me just get back to the actual map, because believe me when I say we tried to make this work. We really, really tried. So here, in the top of the screen, you can actually see a number of options you can press to make the AI do certain things. So here we have diplomacy. Obviously, they're set to the enemy team, so we got that right, since we can actually attack them. Otherwise, if they'd be allies, the scenario would be broken. But then here we have options, and this is only for disabling technologies and messing around with the tech tree. Also, here's the difficulty. Yeah, as you can see, we've set it to hardest. That's all we could do. We've set the global victory to standard, which all that means is that if you were to get all the ruins on the map, or potentially if it's you have to get either all the ruins on the map, all the discoveries, which are little white deer paintings, or just kill the enemy. So yeah, that wouldn't really change anything. Then here we have individual victories, which you can set an individual victory condition, but none of this actually affects the AI at all. So, you got anything to say about this at all?
No.
That's fair enough. I mean, I just did cover that because, yeah, we could not figure out how to get the AI to work. And I know a bunch of other videos in the past, like other YouTube videos, have talked about a call to action. This is a call to action I'm giving you, the viewers. And the call to action is, oh God, please help us. If you have figured out how to get this stupid stuff with the AI to actually work, please tell us how you did it, you wonderful magician, because I haven't for the life of me figured out how to get the AI to actually fight each other. So, unfortunately, moving on from that, this means that if you're designing a custom scenario, AI is completely out of the question. It doesn't matter how many units you put in the map. It doesn't matter how many AI opponents you have. It doesn't matter if you fill the map with military units, because if you do, they're only going to attack you when you get near them. Otherwise, they just sit in place and do nothing. So, we are going to present you with an alternative here, and the alternative is create the maps you want to design for players. Okay, here we are. This is a map that we spent ages working on. We're actually really proud of this project. It's called Corpse Canyon. This thing you're looking at here is pretty much the first draft. So this actually ties nicely into if you want to make your own map. So everything we're going to be saying from now on is going to be with players in mind. Because if you go into the players here, you can go and set their player type as either computer or either. So what we've done is in this map, the other players aren't placed yet, but in the final version, we have 4 players placed here, and they're all set as player type to either, meaning that human players are meant to control all 4 teams, so we don't have to deal with the ridiculously bad AI. I think you can understand how logic is going here. One player is going to have to find a way to host a game with a map that they designed, meaning they're going to be the map designer, which, moving on to my next point, means that you might not want to have the original map designer. So I'm going to put some text on screen right now so you understand what I'm saying better. The original map designer, like let's say I was the original map designer, and I designed this map, this entire map, Corpse Canyon. Well, the unfortunate thing is I really shouldn't be playing on this map anymore because I know the ins and outs of it. I know where every single resource, like this gold over here and this gold over here, is placed. So I'm just going to go and quit to the main menu and click no, I don't want to save, because if we go into the editors again and edit scenario, as you can see, this is like the first edit with, actually this was the first edit, just cliffs, And then, as you can see, we're going to be going through and loading more and more maps because I'm going to slowly be explaining like our thought process for making this map because it was pretty much what it felt like to me anyway. It felt like we were painting on a canvas or making a picture, like designing the map and the story around it and everything. So you want to go here over here go on like why we chose this certain tree type for the map, the ones over
Um,
here.
well, the idea of Corpse Canyon is to have the theme of death involved, and what especially in the canyon, what better symbolizes that than a bunch of dead trees everywhere? So it just implies that the entire place is dead.
Yeah, so that's actually that's pretty much yeah, well true because we're both designing this. We both thought for this map, let's go and just make an absolute desolate wasteland, no grass anywhere. We were thinking of originally making it like a snowy tundra, but unfortunately you don't actually have the option for snow in Age of Empires 1. So the reason why the trees are placed like this is because I was actually manually placing each individual tree with the units tab here. So if you were to go into Gaia and then you scroll down, you can actually find stuff like Dirt Path 1, which are dirt paths you can place. And you can even find fish in the Gaia tab. That's also how you get the resources, such as the gold mines. And you keep on scrolling down. I'm just going to speed this up here. You get to trees. And you can actually see what they look like as well. So here's a great example. I'm just going to place a few of these green trees, which don't fit the map at all.
Oh, Corpse Canyon is coming back to life.
Only in this universe. We're going to click quit and not save soon, so all this will be deleted.
Yeah, this is an episode of What If.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so as I was saying, that's how you place the trees. And I actually went and placed each individual tree individually because of this reason. If we were to go into the terrain painting tab, but if we go over to a forest, and for example, I was to place forest Mesopotamian, it comes with its own unique ground texture. So as you can see here, the trees are coming with a like lovely grass texture, which is not what we wanted. So the reason why I went and placed every single tree manually is so that I can leave the ground all deserty and barren so that it fits in with our wasteland thing. So yeah, now we're going to just quit to the main menu and get to the next change in the map we did. Yeah, so what I was just going to say there is that when designing your own map like this, just feel free to come up with any kind of inspiration you want. It can be just like a painting. Again, I can only keep going back to the painting analogy, but it can be a really rough draft for your first idea. A great example is I at one point thought, well, I was going to make a map. If I'm going to make a map, why not start with just a basic idea? A basic idea to start everything off. It can be as simple as I want to draw the infinity symbol or a figure 8 racetrack with trees. You draw that in the middle, and you might start thinking, what do I place in the middle of trees? All that kind of stuff. Maybe I want gold in the middle of trees because a few official maps from Age of Empires 2 have it where you have like tree lines, and then inside the tree lines are like hidden deposits of gold, or maybe even food, such as gazelles and stuff like that. So that's kind of what we were thinking here. So over here, the reason why the trees actually spaced out like that, and there's a huge hole in the middle of them, is because this was kind of meant to be a compact bunch of, dead trees here, and it kind of slowly spreads out across here. And as you get to the edges, the trees get sparser. And over here, it's all empty because I knew I was going to place more dead trees in the middle and fill it up later. So this is kind of like me drawing the outside of the canvas, and then in the middle is going to get filled up later. And then over here, you have something similar, where there's a whole bunch of trees clumped together here because we were planning on having it so you can get through some parts of this dead forest here, but the main path you use to get through is actually over here, right here, in the middle of the map. And then we're going to have it so that the players, like the red player on this side, would be allied, I think, with the another player over on this side, and another player on this side would be allied with the blue player here, and they would have this path in the middle so they could get to each other. Because we're also trying to make this map fair at the same time of making it look cool. So we thought if there's a path in the middle here, then the players would have a way to get to each other, which would be fair because the players over here have an even bigger open path here to get to each other as well. And cutting one player off from another wouldn't make it that fair. And you want to make a map like this fair because if it's a map against the AI, you can be more lenient and you can be unfair because no one cares if you hurt the feelings of in-game pixels. It doesn't have feelings.
I care.
That actually brings up a really good point. In the past, I used to care way too much about all my units in a game called Empire Earth. I would save their lives heaps of times. So in basically the modern age, I had Renaissance era units. They're pretty much cosplayers trying to beat down laser towers with their full-on knight's armor.
Amazing.
they did not go well. The enemy nuked them. Yeah, so you can potentially care about the AI, but it won't share the care in return because it is just an AI. So on the flip side, you might as well do what we're doing and make it fair for all the players. So I'm just gonna get exit out of this, and then get to the next map, like the next edit of this map. Yeah, so as you can see here, the next thing we done was we started placing eye candy. Eye candy is the slang for little cactuses and stuff like this, and we kind of place them around here to give the story of, hey, there is still some life here, such as these gazelles, but the gazelles
I
are,
think it's just gazelle.
oh well, I guess I'm saying it wrong. Hey,
It's like sheep, you know.
fair enough. So yeah, so the gazelle here are pretty much eating the cacti here and kind of getting nourishment of it because there's nearly nothing here. We also try to make it fair for both players. So as you can see, one patch of gazelles here, gazelle, is placed near the blue player, and then the other patch is placed right up here next to some trees because they're meant to be getting shade from the trees. This is the kind of narrative we're going here. And then the third patch of gazelle was placed in the middle here, kind of close to both players here, while also being next to the middle path here. And this is again to make the map fair, so that each individual player has kind of a similar route to get to the gazelle. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. You'd have to make everything symmetrical, otherwise that would be boring. But we're trying to make the map here fair. Now moving on to the next edit of this. Yeah, so as you can see from that name there, this one was called like with more gazelle, and then eye candy, and then gold, and then lions as well. So we started thinking that next is, for this map, why don't we make it so that there is like quarries and stuff here, basically stone as well here. And we actually decided that it would look better, in our opinion, if we make this cracked ground over here next to the stone to kind of signify that there is a stone mine here. So if we go into terrain here, and I just click average desert, this is pretty much, as you can see here, I'm kind of getting rid of all like the little bit of cracked ground here. I mean, that isn't working so well, but if I were to go to desert dunes, you can really see the difference here. See, I'm kind of getting rid of all the cracked ground. And even though desert dunes would fit in with most of this map, we actually only placed the desert dunes over here with the lions next to it because we kind of wanted to form the narrative of these lions here are around the gold because, like vultures near a highway going for roadkill, the lions are constantly killing adventurers who wander into here to try and mine the gold, and then that keeps them nice and fed, so they stay around there because it's a good source of protein and meat. You want to say anything about that?
So we call this one Corpse Canyon. It's a massive ravine where the two armies fight each other on either side. The two walls on either side of the ravine are positioned far apart, so if you want to show a bit more of the map. And yes, that's so both armies may build towers as they're not in range with each other. A good thing to keep in mind with map creation is the world building. So as Chi said, for example, there's the circle of dead trees around the edge of the map to imply there is an entire forest of dead trees just off the map. So yeah,
yep, right over here.
Yeah,
that's actually what I was going with. So it's actually, I forgot to mention this before, but it's actually this here is meant to be kind of a giant circle that goes all the way around, and it's kind of meant to veer off the map as well, so past the map to be more trees. Oh, and one quick thing I want to add before you continue the whole that is that even though this is talking about a map design for 2 players, this is the same map. It's just ended up having 4 players in the end, so we kind of tweaked it a little. So this is just kind of the early draft.
Yeah.
You can keep going now.
Yeah, so the bottom side of Corpse Canyon has a path through the middle of the trees with a nice balance of accessibility. And for anyone who wants to edit their own map, she said that if you want to delete cacti, you can just drown them with water, and gazelles can delete trees, stuff like that. So yeah, forming a narrative is a pretty good map creation tip. For example, Cheese has put all the cacti away from trees with gazelle trying to get food from them. And so yeah, it's in the top left of the map.
I'm already there.
Yep, in the middle of the bottom half of the map, there were already gazelle skeletons there, so Cheese took advantage of that and put the live gazelle around them. And
right here.
Yep, and to the right of the top half of the map, he put gazelle and trees so that they're trying to get shade. So little...
I talked about that before here.
Yeah, little lore, world
building.
For a
slight minute. I actually want to show off what he was talking about before. So when it comes to actually deleting whatever I called these before, I think it was a... What did I call them again? It was...
Eye candy.
Yeah, eye candy. Thank you. That was the one. So if you try and delete a cacti here, as you can see, it actually doesn't work. The delete button does work because obviously I'm like deleting skeletons and gazelles. So what we figured out is like before, this rain tab like I was talking about, if you use water, it deletes the cacti and then you can just place something else over it. And what we were talking about before with gazelles actually deleting trees is if we just go to the Gaia character and then go over to, where is it here? We've got gazelle, and then we place one, it is actually capable of fully removing the trees. So be careful when placing them, otherwise you might like accidentally click here and then, oh, what do you know? Like your gazelle has suddenly deleted all some of the trees you wanted to place here.
Gazelles are too powerful.
I mean, you haven't seen an alpha gazelle yet. Oh, that's another thing. Quick tip: in your map, I'd refrain from placing an alpha gazelle. They offer 400 food instead of 150, and they are dead fast. You're gonna need like the wheel upgrade for your villagers to actually even catch them. Otherwise, it's gonna be just a mad goose chase. Like, even though this is like, oh, that's almost enough to advance to the second age, it is so hard to catch these. There's a reason why random maps don't spawn with Gazelle Alpha. Yeah, so you want to continue where you left off with what we've written down in that book?
Yeah, so you've said that the berry bushes look too lush and green for the map, especially considering all the dead trees everywhere. So does that mean that when we started the map that there were already berry bushes?
No, there actually weren't berry bushes here, but that's like an excellent point. Like, I'll just place a few here, and you can just see how lovely, lush, and green they were. We just looked at these and went, there's no way anything like this could survive in Corpse Canyon.
Yeah.
It's too green. Like, where's it getting the nutrients from? If it was here, it'd be gone already because the gazelles would have munched it to pieces.
Yeah, and he placed an equal amount of gazelle in the top and bottom halves of the map for fairness.
Yeah, again, that's going back to player fairness. So, like, over here, there's an equal amount of gazelles as they were over here. I mean, there's not any more because I was showcasing how gazelles can delete trees, but just pretend those ones aren't there.
And yeah, he also added dips in the elevation and putting gold inside.
Yeah, that's another thing. So, like, over here, I forgot to mention, but in the sand dunes, like we covered before, there's actually dips in the elevation, which is meant to like, represent the gold kind of being, the sand, top layer of sand being blown away and the gold being left there. The adventurers then want to go and mine, and then the lions, of course, as I said before, they have to kill them.
Yeah, and painted over the dips with the ground terrain type to imply ground erosion with equal amounts of gold on each side, and placing more stone mines than placing gold.
Okay, so that in that case, I might want to actually quit this map. So even though there's a single stone mine here, I'm just going to quit this one and go back into the editor and get back to one of the later revisions of this map. So here we are, we've loaded onto basically the final edit of this map, or so we called it. There's a few more gazelles placed, and as you can see, we've added the extra teams. So originally when we were talking about the map, it was like we're only referencing two teams. There's now the yellow player up here, and the brown player down here. I'm very sure that the brown player is allied with the red player over here, and the blue player is allied with the yellow player over here. And as Horvat was talking about before with stone, here is the stone we've placed. So it's all over the middle here. And there's also a couple of these ruins here, because as I mentioned before, one of the standard game mode options allows you to win the map if someone controls all each individual ruin. So we've placed all the ruins in fair locations. So one ruin is over here, I'm pretty sure another ruin's over here, meaning that the ruins can be captured by both the teams. So it may seem a little unfair because it's like, oh, well, this ruin over here is much closer to the blue player, but you have to remember the blue player is on team 2 along with the yellow player, and then red is on team 1 with the brown player. So if red captures this ruin, it's not such a big deal because blue has a chance to capture this ruin much easier, and then the third ruin they have to fight over is right in the middle of the map, making for a lot of combat would probably be centered around here. Also, this is where most of the stone is. You got anything to say more about that?
So you're talking about making things somewhat symmetrical and like having each side of the map equal in terms of terrain and resources?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm talking about like this is what we've done to make the entire thing a fair experience for all players, since you want to make it fair for players. They're not AI, they're feelings.
And yeah, so both bunches of trees you've created and they're spread out differently but with an equal amount, so there's no advantage when it comes to the number of resources that either team can get from it.
Well, roughly equal amount. I didn't count each individual tree. That would be madness.
So yeah, but yeah, it's also important to remember parts of the map that may affect the gameplay if you start like one player on a hill and one on the ground. And the map might look pretty, but it does give one player a height advantage. And like for example, archers do more damage when attacking from above.
And so do towers actually, and I'm pretty sure so do catapults and ballistas. You have to take all that into account. So Corvat's bringing up really good points here, where you may end up making your map look pretty in the end, but it might be totally unfair to one player and more fair to the other.
Or will the players be choosing their own teams, or is it a sense of making it like aesthetically similar to the map setting?
Well, when it comes to choosing your own teams, I guess you could go with choosing your own team and then playing it out, because unfortunately we didn't have enough friends to actually test this map. So if you end up making similar, you're going to have to test it on your own and see how it fights. But you wanted to actually go over the teams we picked for this map and why we picked them?
Yep, so we picked 4, yeah? 2 for our team and 2 for Team 2?
Yeah, by the way, I might have been referencing the teams wrong. So when we say our team, that's the blue player and the yellow player over here, because normally in campaign matches, you always start off playing as the blue player, so that's why we're referencing it as our team.
Yeah, so our teams were Yamato and Persian.
Yep, sounds right.
And Team 2 had Phoenicians and
Minoan. It's
No.
a hard word to pronounce. I don't blame you for messing that up.
Also, I thought that A was a D, so I'm like, Monodon? Who's he? I barely know him.
Yeah, it's a civilization, though, not a dude.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway, you want to quickly go over the bonuses and stuff that they have, and go over our reason for picking them?
Yamato villagers, they move 10% faster, and all their cavalry units receive a 15% discount to make. Persians have the elephant units, which move 25% faster. Hunters work faster and carry more food. Persians have the guard tower and heavy horse archer upgrades. And as for Team 2, so Phoenician, their elephant units cost 25% less resources, their woodcutters work faster and carry more wood, and they have access to elephant archers and composite bowmen. And Minoan, composite bowmen have +2 range forms, have +60 food, they have access to the best siege engine upgrades in the game, but they only get sentry towers.
Yeah, so if all that was complete gibberish and it went over your head, just know that we pretty much chose all that so that it's meant to be fair for both players. And if you design a map like this, try to do your own math as well with all this and just come up with something that's fair. Yeah, so in my opinion, I think that pretty much covers everything we wanted to say about this and this intro to making your own custom scenario in Age of Empires Definitive Edition. Sorry if you were a little bit disappointed at the fact we couldn't get the AI to work, but if it's any consolation for you, like the viewers, we searched on YouTube beforehand and we found no videos on how to get the AI to work either, so I'm pretty sure it might be actually impossible to do that. That's why we went with the make a map for players option.
Well, at least with Age of Empires 1, I imagine they improved things in...
Oh, of course they did. Like, you've got actual triggers and stuff that you can
Yeah.
use in Age of Empires 2, especially like the Definitive Edition. I'm not going to promise a video coming out on that really soon, but just know we've got something in the works, but it's taking a while. So just have a realistic expectation of when it's going to come out. Most likely months, maybe even a year from now, maybe even longer. I'm just prepping beforehand. One last thing I want to close this video with is don't feel too bad and disappointed about all this, because even as the original Age of Empires released in 1999. It might be the wrong date. If it's the wrong date, you can check Wikipedia and prove me wrong in the comments. Feel free to.
Just edit it in.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to edit in the correct date here, so it says I'm right.
You have the power.
I'm probably wrong talking right now, but I'm going to edit in the correct date now. Anyway, the last thing I wanted to cover is I don't have footage of this because I was really young when I did this, but the AI was a complete disaster in the original version whenever that was released, because I made a map and they had a pet lion and a villager. They got the villager killed. I built up a massive civilization, went over the water to face their civilization, and as met with their single pet lion, I killed it instantly with a swordsman and won. Then another map, I guess you could call it the Alpha Crocodile disaster. I made this mistake of placing Alpha Crocodiles. In fact, we're just going to include a clip right now of just how deadly Alpha Crocodiles are. Kaiser.
Oh, fuck!
Double kill. Triple kill. Overkill. Kill-tacular. Kill-trocity. Kill-a-jar.
End video.
Based.